Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM from New Orleans. We're fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee, who have been a part of our journey for several years. So thank you, Folgers. We couldn't do it without you, nor would we want to. Also, big thank you to Justin Snicker, aka Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, for the contribution of his time, his music, and his voice for the intro you just heard. He is an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found on all of your favorite music streaming platforms. Also, big thanks to Steve McGinnis, the artist behind our logos here at the show. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Also specializes in the horror and Halloween genre, but does amazing commission pieces of any type. So I've been getting messages, coming up on YouTube and such, people saying, I can't believe I missed a live show, or people coming into the chat room and, being a little upset that they've missed, the first half of the show. If you guys are subscribers, you'll notice that there's this little bell that is also right there on the front of the channel. And if you just click on that, it will give you reminders. So not only will it remind you when something pretty much gets posted and ready to go, so it's going to be live, but it will give you reminders that it's going to start maybe within a few hours, and then it'll remind you again when the show is starting. So if you're interested, just click the little bell and it will definitely let you know when we are good to go. So tonight is another one of those nights. Yes, it is. And Wayne will be joining me, and we're going to be having an open discussion, exploring end times, past resets, ancient prophecies, current predictions and such, or more recent predictions. There's a whole lot of information to cover, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun as always. Hey, hello, Heidi. Hello, Mark, Heidi. Yes, always click the bell. Yes, thank you. So we're going to have a whole boatload of fun. So just saying the hellos. Hello, Patsy. Hello, Kathy. Hello, Phil. Mark. Hello, how are you? Making pasta sauce sounds like outstanding. So as people chime in, we're just going to get the show on the road, and we're going to get Wayne to come on board. Hey, Kara. Yeah, there he is.
There I'm just going to adjust my screen size. Just bear with me here.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So we're just trying to get used to new settings on the board for those who may have been noticing on some of our shows. They're a little bit out there. Yes. Well, you gave me a few good laughs, that's for sure.
Me too.
And Wayne as well. Yes. That's awesome. As long as you're here, Heidi. I guess the platform just did a new update. So we kind of have all these little gadgets to play with, such as this one, which is kind of cool. I like it. But there's some on here, that we're not sure of, but they wiped out a whole lot of other stuff. So bear with us all here on the network as we try to make some adjustments and move forward. Dexter as well. Yeah.
Oh, he's well. Oh, he's really well.
Yeah.
I'm not well, but he is doing okay.
Ooh, ouch, Phil. So it's so hard to peg. Those who tuned into yesterday's show would have got a little bit of snippets of what we will be talking about tonight, just in more detail. And I thought a good place to start would be the resets of yesteryear sort of thing. And Wayne dug up all kinds of great information. I mean, Tartaria, I think, is one that we should start with because it really seems to be something that people are delving into of late. And Wayne dug up all kinds of stuff I wouldn't have thought. Like, wow, holy crud, there's a thing. So we're going to let you get started on this. What are your thoughts? You mean you've got it all in front of you? Yeah.
Yeah, I got enough of this. I found it very interesting just to begin with. I never even heard of this. Like, I mean, I've been around a long time, and this has only come to my historic knowledge in probably the last year, and which surprised me because, again, I've done a lot of digging and I never found anything about that. But it's very cool when you start looking at stuff. And again, you have to keep an open mind because it is out there. When you start saying that, there was civilizations and technologies that equal our own or beyond our own, going back, thousands of years, and you kind of go, nah, you're way too left of center. But there is stuff out there that just kind of, some stuff I look at it and I go, I see the pictures and I'm like, jury's out on it. I don't think it's really old school stuff, but some of the stuff is mind blowing, like the bridges and the buildings and things like that. And when you hear the explanation, like the official explanation of what it is, it holds water for a minute or two. And then you start, if you just take that on face value, you walk away a happy camper. But if you look at it, like, I like architecture and I did drafting forever and a day, and you start looking at things and you go, well, that doesn't make any sense. Where's the blueprints? Where's the infrastructure? How did it get here? And there's nothing. There is absolutely nothing there. And throughout humanity's existence and before, every civilization is built on something else. When we stopped being nomadics and wandering the plains and hunters and gatherers and stuff, and we put down roots, and then we lost those roots to somebody else didn't come in and erase those roots. They went, this is pretty cool. We'll build on top of it. And they just kept building on top of it. And that is the way we are. So when you see things like that, then it starts to really make sense.
Mm. Well, I mean, you want to touch on some of this. I thought that the whole War of 1812 thing was really fascinating.
That blew my mind. And I happened on it by accident, like complete accident. Because, like, I'm a history guy, but I'm not the best history guy. I just really like it, And I don't believe in coincidences. Like when you throw marbles on the floor and they all line up in a straight row, it doesn't happen. And you walk into your living room, there's a pine cone from your Christmas tree standing up middle of the carpet. No, it doesn't happen. There's something going on. Anyway, I was watching some history on this, and I didn't know this, but then the War of 1812 between the U.S. and the British, like the North and the South kind of stuff, and it was not the Civil War. I'm just talking between, like, sort of where Canada is now and the U.S. That was in 1812. There was a lot of shenanigans going on there, but I didn't know at the same time there was Napoleon in France was marching into Russia
at the same time.
At the same time, yeah.
Oh.
I was just like,
wow,
no, couldn't be. No, I know that, right? It's like,
yeah,
no, I'm absolutely wrong. And then it's, again, the dates start not making sense. And it said that, like, basically Napoleon lost that war because his 600,000 men, like, froze to death and starved. But when you look at the dates, they rode into Russia, into St. Petersburg. They rode into there, and it was September. September the 14th, they rode in. And winter didn't arrive that year until November, so they wouldn't have froze to death.
Yeah, St. Petersburg, Moscow. I think it was something like that. If it was Moscow, they might have.
There was like three major cities they spoke about, and that was the ones. Anyway, the retreating army, the ones that survived, showed the retreat from Moscow happened September the 14th. So what were they there a day? No, there's inaccuracies in that, right? So, what some of the people who had survived? Because only 600,000 went in, and approximately 10,000 came back. That's a lot to
Yeah,
lose, like
substantial.
in a day
Mm,
or even in a month. It's just not conventional warfare. Of those days, you didn't have those kind of casualties. You just didn't
mm,
happen, right?
mhm.
They had said things like, when we initially got there, what they discovered was most of the surrounding town, villages and stuff, were completely uninhabited. Nobody there, streets empty, you know, food on the table, all that kind of stuff. They were gone. It was like a mass evacuation had taken place, was the words
Mm,
that was used. Mass
mm,
evacuation was taking place. And as they went further in, they found like the buildings, like the bigger buildings and stuff, as they got further in, were completely annihilated. They're completely
mm,
blown apart, gone. And
mm.
they just couldn't even understand what they were looking at. They just had no words to really describe it. And so they kind of pulled out and went back, and that was the end of that. But what I found interesting was the documentation of people that were the inhabitants that were around these big cities at the time. And they described like uncanny stuff they could not have known at that time. One woman who lived on the outskirts said, "I saw a blinding flash of light in the sky." And her words was, "It was like 1,000 suns that lit up the night sky. I couldn't look at
Oh,
it.
wow.
We put up our hands in front of our eyes, but the light burned through our fingers."
Wow.
Right? And then she said, "Then came the wind that blew us back and lifted grown men off the ground and pushed trees over." And when the army was talking about that, they didn't see any of that, but they said all of the trees that are around the city were blown down away from the city. They were stripped of their leaves. The bark was charred but not burned. It wasn't
Mm,
like it was consumed by a forest fire. It was like a flame went across it really fast and then disappeared. One
hmm.
one doctor who was attending these people had said that he was describing stuff he couldn't have described. He said the people that were near the city where the light happened, their skin came off in sheets, their eyes were burned white, they were blind, right? They vomited blood for days. They had no recollection of what happened, right? And they died within a 2-week period. Even people that showed no symptoms
So they didn't have that
external.
kind of technology in 1812.
Not at all. We're talking a nuclear blast here, what we're talking about. It sounds
Yeah.
exactly like it's exactly what it was.
Huh.
Anyway, it was wild. And even on some of the doctors' reports, they write, like I sent you a picture of this closing remark. Basically said it was like 1,000 suns in the
Yeah, I'm
sky.
going. I'm going to show it. I'm going to bring it up right now.
It's an old document, and it's wild
Yeah.
when you see stuff like that.
Yeah. There we go.
Just get that up
There
for
it
a second,
is.
and we'll continue.
Yeah.
Brighter than 1,000 suns.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
insane because that is an old.
yeah, the date's up in the corner there, but it is 1812.
Yeah.
And after the whole thing was annihilated and done away, they started to try to go back and rebuild the cities. And there was not just one, there was multiple all around the place, right? And it was the same throughout the world. But before I get to that, an engineer came in from Great Britain. They were looking for anybody to come and assist with this cleanup and this rebuild. And he said he'd never seen devastation like it. He goes, this was not a rebuild to happen. It couldn't. He said things were just gone. He
Mm.
said buildings that were made of stone had either melted or had their he didn't say molecular structure, but their structure had been altered. Like you could look at it and granite was now pixelated,
Hmm.
and slate was a different color. It was just he goes, I'd never seen anything like it. He goes, the metal window frames, the steel metal frames had melted and run down the rocks. Like
Wow.
how do you melt iron and it runs
No,
down the rocks?
exactly.
Like that's
Exactly.
pretty intense. That's not normal heat. And
Hmm.
and stone, last time I checked, stone doesn't melt in a conventional fire. And
Mm.
even in a nuclear blast, like stone doesn't generally melt. It'll move and change, but he said he'd never seen anything like it. Nothing like it.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
there was no bodies, there was nothing. It was just like gone,
Vaporized, just total.
vaporized, just
Wow.
disappeared. Yeah. But it's like I'd sent you a bunch of stuff, like 'cause I can't remember all the names of these
Right.
fancy places. I just don't.
Okay.
But at the same time in South America, the same thing was going on. All around the world. In Asia, buildings were being wiped out, and these bright lights from the sky and things like that. And during the War of 1812, here, they in the U.S. they were chalking it all up to the war, which is everyone's okay, it's the war, right? But cities were burning simultaneously. Further south, into the southern waters of the Pacific, volcanoes were going off. That's normal. But one guy said it was like nothing he'd ever seen. One island erupted after another as if they were being triggered all the way along the fault line. I mean, could it happen naturally? Yeah, it can happen naturally for sure. But then to have across the continent on the Pacific or the Atlantic side is to have an earthquake, and a priest commented on it. He goes, it was like nothing, no earthquake I'd ever experienced. He goes, the ground, there was no sound, and fire erupted through the soil. Like literally, he said it was the weirdest fire. Everything just melted and fell into the ground, just disappeared.
Wow, that definitely was not that technology. So it really makes you wonder, where did the technology come from? Like
What
how
was the technology?
what was the technology?
And why was it used? I mean, I can never say the word right, but it's one of the ancient Indian books that starts with an M, the Maharabaha
Yeah,
something.
I'm not even that with you on that one off
Yeah,
the
I
top of
tried to
my
say it a
head.
few times and I just laugh
Yeah,
because I just sound like I have marbles
yeah,
in my mouth. I sound like my father.
yeah.
But what he was saying was they speak in this historic account within that book,
Mm,
right? They speak of technologies exactly like that, exactly the same things, flying ships, that came in with massive weapons. They referred to it as a silver arrow with a single point with the power of the universe at its tip.
mm,
That's pretty intense. A single arrow with a single point with the power of the universe at its tip. Sounds like a missile, if you ask me. But if Tartaria was built by an advanced race of individuals, primitive, like I call them
mm,
primitive,
mm,
advanced, where we came from, our ancestors, if they came here and they built this massive, amazing, planet full of technology and great culture, and there was another culture that didn't like them,
mm.
interplanetary culture, and they came with their ships and got them before they even got off the ground, it would be like the Pearl Harbor strike. The Japanese came
Mm.
in and took them all out while they're on the ground. You can't get your aircraft even off the ground at that point. They could have annihilated cities all over the place without anybody even thinking about it.
Well, this is what I want to. I just want to cover some of your notes, because there's some important points in here. The Mahabharata, as I think what
Thank
you
you.
were looking at, yeah. Speak of weapons that sound very much like those of nuclear design, like a single arrow charged with all the power of the universe, brilliant column of smoke and flame brighter than 10,000 suns, is actually written there. And then it talks about, the cities in Pakistan and India, as well as others around the world, having ancient radiation signature above normal above normal levels. Pools of melted sand, rock have been covered in melted glass, not normal occurrence. Okay, where was I just saw what I wanted to read. In South America, earthquakes laid waste to the city of Caracas. However, eyewitness accounts spoke of an earthquake far different than one they've ever experienced. A priest wrote that there was no ground shaking, only fire that came up through the ground. The buildings didn't fall, they melted. The devastation was constant, complete, and total. And then they said the Caribbean in 1812 also experienced volcanic eruptions that were also simultaneous. As I said, something triggered them from below. Asia, devastating catastrophic fires erupted throughout all major cities like Delhi, Calcutta, Manila, And then we get into, again, Pakistan having radiation signature higher than normal and dates back thousands of years, as thousands, a civilization wiped out without explanation. And the same was found in the time of 1812. So now we're getting into, again, Tartaria, who did have nuclear capability. So that goes to show you, according to your notes, that goes to show you how advanced they were. And if you're looking at old maps, I mean, Tartaria could go back, medieval times. Pakistan is going back thousands of years. I'm
Beyond.
sure the original Tartaria would have been similar. So major cities found globally and advanced cultures were systematically wiped out throughout a single year, all carefully hidden behind a disguise of conventional war and unfortunate accidents. All of the devastation, which the entire Tartarian world was erased from existence and what was left of humanity went about the task of trying to rebuild largely without any former knowledge. So the erasing of Tartaria is sometimes referred to as a great reset of humanity. One letter written by a British engineer while in Russia wrote of a devastation we see could not be attributed to the Napoleon and his retreating army. Cities themselves are not damaged by warfare, they were transformed. And this is where you had spoke about earlier. The stones show signs of heat that were not conventional. Beneath the rubble was discovered great foundation, old foundations that humanity built up or what they could build from and whatever was left, but a far cry from what had been there before. So, yeah, the advanced civilizations.
The way I look at it, like I try to put things into like my perspective, right? Like without bragging, I consider I think I know a fair bit about a lot of things. Like I can build stuff, I can do the electrical, the plumbing, the drywall, the lumber, the ceramic tiles, I can fix a car. I do a lot of things, right?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
if we got wiped out tomorrow, like, and there were no generators anymore, there was no hydroelectric power, there was no generating stations, nuclear plants were blown up and gone.
Mm.
People come to me and say, could you get the power back on? No, I couldn't. I couldn't go to where a generating station once was, take the components and build a turbine. There's no way. And it would be the same back then. If they had all their major structures wiped out,
Mm.
complete and total, that had been there for tens of thousands of years, let's say, the people that are using all that equipment, like we use a cell phone every day. Could you build one? No,
Mm.
I couldn't build a
Mm.
cell phone.
Right.
So you're left with the infrastructure stripped right down to the bone. There's nothing left, and the people go, well, I got to stay warm today, so I'm going to make a fire. We can make a fire,
Mhm.
and that's where it starts over again. There's your great reset. And what
Mhm.
scares me these days is that I've heard that buzzword running around. It started in around 2017 or so, and it was like, oh, the great reset's coming 2030, great reset's coming. And I'm like, so, boop, 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 boop.
Yeah.
What's happening? What is that all about?
Well, I think technology, as we advanced, where wealth can be made from technology,
Mm.
and the Tartarian times throughout the 1800s. I mean, and this was prior, I think, to 1812 because we're getting into the
Wouldn't it?
world fairs.
Yeah.
No, I mean after, sorry, 1812, because the world fairs, many of them came in,
Yeah.
especially during the time of the Victorians. And I mean, they were drawing energy from the ether. However, you start looking at old castles throughout, medieval Europe or, not just, medieval times, but, 1700s, they could draw energy from, the ether. If you start digging a little bit, you find the info. But, we don't want that. And superior architecture and the way things were built, a great reset, removing all of that and all of that technology would basically put you back to square one.
Mm-hmm.
with people, specific individuals, being in control of the narrative.
Yeah, it's that, but that's the problem. I mean, it's like I always say, if you're the king of the land, do you want your citizens being smarter than you? No. You want a
Yeah.
dumb population that you can control.
Mm.
That was what it was, and they
Mm.
took it all away, all of it away.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at stuff, and again, I'm practical. I can be silly at times, but I'm practical. You
Mm.
know, when
Mm.
you build something, you build a deck. You build a deck on the back of your house. You don't make the deck 35 feet wide
Mm-hmm.
because you only need 10 feet. You know, it's just a
Yeah.
waste of material. It's a waste of effort. It's a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at some stuff, but again, some stuff is just it's the way it's built. Okay, fine, I can deal with it. But when you're looking at a stone bridge, where most of its artistic artwork, all of that beauty they put into it, is 20 to 30 feet underground, and you don't see it.
Mm.
Like, why do you put all that effort in, knowing full well you're going to bury it? Makes no sense. And you look at how wide the bridge is, and the bridge is like as wide as a 4-lane highway. But the only traffic that bridge is ever going to see is a horse and cart and a handful of people.
Mm-hmm.
Financially, it doesn't make sense. Engineering wise, doesn't make sense. Technology wise, it doesn't make sense. It's overkill for the sake of overkill. I mean, it's really overkill.
So basically, just using things that they've uncovered that have already been already there.
Exactly.
Patsy makes a really good, it's a good question and comment. Could this have happened? Maybe due to a past advanced culture with weapons that were preset to go off in the future.
Michelle and I talked exactly that.
Mm.
You know, I said they could have planted these things in the ground.
Mm.
You know, a nuclear device could be down a mile, 2 miles, buried in the ground, and it could be triggered remotely. It could be triggered by a time clock, something that we don't understand. You know, if you get too cocky, boom, it goes off, and you'd never find it. You know, primitive culture would not go digging 2 miles in the ground in the search of something that they don't even know is there.
No, and this is what I'm going to put up Patsy's comments in a moment about out of place artifacts.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, we could do a show, and you know what? I think maybe we will, just on out of place artifacts and things that are out of the ordinary with respects to even locations. So we'll come to the comment now. The famous London hammer found in Texas, 1936, an object that looks like it's a 19th century tool, but was found in rock dated to the Cretaceous period over 100 million years ago. Absolutely. Conventional history through skeptics suggests it's a 19th century object encased in younger rock through natural geological processes like concretion, not actual ancient dating to the tool itself. It's still considered an out of place artifact. Anyway, you look at it, and people are still leaning towards the first comment, copied from the internet. Yeah, definitely weird. Out of place artifacts are well worth the deep dive. Oh, done it. In fact, Joe and I have done like an entire show on it. It was crazy the stuff they have out there, but would definitely be interested to catch that show.
So many
I
times
will
it just
let you
gets
know.
buried.
Hi, Michael. Yeah.
It gets buried. One thing just about out of place objects, I think the one that I found most fascinating was in Russia, and you know, through the permafrost. I mean, that stuff has been there forever and a day.
Yeah.
It never thaws. Permanent frost, right? Anyway, they were digging out there, and they found a woolly mammoth intact, and it had its baby and everything else. There was a herd of them out there that just laid over on their side and died. Right? Okay, fair enough. When they excavated those out, how old are woolly mammoths? So they dig them out, and they found a lump of, it was either an aluminum titanium mix, but it looked like a skid plate of some sort of landing craft that would come straight down. It had a bored hole through it. It was flat. It was corrugated on the bottom.
Yeah.
It's a machined hole. It's been in the ground before the mammoths landed on it.
That's 10,000 years.
It hasn't
give or
decayed.
take. I know.
You put aluminum in the ground, it turns white. You put iron in the ground, it goes orangey, red, and everything dissolves. This
Mhm.
thing looked brand new. Where did it come from?
Mhm.
Like that to me is just like, oh, that's a not a
It
misplaced
makes you
object. That is
wonder.
out of place.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. It's just one of those unnatural things that sort of you can't say, "Well, this is just this." It's like, "No, this is something really substantial."
Yeah, it is
You
for
know?
sure.
I mean,
And
you start getting into, um did you wanna add to that?
no, you go ahead.
Okay. You start getting into, different, uh different things of that nature, and you just start realizing just how much bigger things actually are
Oh, it's
than
vast.
us, bigger than us, you know?
Oh, so much.
Yeah,
And the thing is, like, it's the narrative. I mean, like the one fella that when you had the gentleman on for the flat Earth theory,
yeah.
you know,
He was great, yeah.
he was great, but I
Mhm,
loved his perspective because, like, again, I'm in school and I'm learning about the planets and the solar system and things that go round and round, all that stuff,
yeah,
and like you're being taught that
yeah,
by someone who is apparently smarter than you,
yeah.
and they were taught by someone who was apparently smarter than them, and
Mm,
it goes down the line. But where I'm going with this was,
mm.
you know, I'm thinking to myself, well, they have telescopes and we've seen pictures from space and all he did was he went like this, he looked at the camera and he just said, and who provides those pictures? The
Mm,
government?
mm.
Hmm. And Wayne's
Yeah,
light bulb, boop. That's true.
I know,
All
I
the
know.
information that we get given to us is just that. It is given to us. And
Yeah.
anything that is not given to us, it is whisked away and you're a crazy person.
There's a reason why, you go through spells where all the books get removed,
Mm,
right? All of these, like, if you find, like, we've got books that go back. I mean, I've always tried to find books that go back to the 1800s, even, like, old encyclopedias. People laugh and go, "Why do you want an old, you know, Encyclopedia Britannica or whatever when you can just go online and look?" Because there's information locked in those that you may not necessarily find, that it's just
anymore.
been removed, disappeared,
Oh, yeah.
right? So, it's good to have old books because if you look at a lot of posts that are online, even through social media, you see people just scanning pages or taking pictures of old pages in a book pertaining to information they're talking about, and you're realizing, you kinda think back, "I think I remember reading something about this one time," or, "This is new." It's like what Mark Aldi and I were talking about a little bit yesterday. This, along with these resets, is forgetting things. It's hard, you're hard pressed to even remember things going back 30, 40, 50 years ago. You would get snippets, but he says, yeah, it's just like every 10 to 20 years, you just kind of go through this little, you know, erasing of memories. It's bad enough we come here kind of wiped clean and have to, evolve ourselves to be able to go in and have recollection of who we are, where we come from.
Mhm.
Um, but what is it about? What is it about this? You're forgetting
Well,
stuff.
it's interesting because, if you go by,
Yes, Mandela
that's right.
effect.
If you go by, let's say, the government regulations up here for taxes, for instance, like I've got to keep records for 7 years.
Mhm,
They got to go back 7 years. After 7 years, they don't care, right?
mhm,
In computer systems now, they have that automatically. It's an
mhm.
automatic purge. So can you imagine if humanity has that, if we are just a simulation? So after so many years, you don't need that data after 15 years, Wayne. We're just going to purge that. It's like,
Now we have to go
I'm
back
sure,
and
I'm sure
revisit the
something happened.
Matrix again.
I'm sure something happened. I know something
Mm,
happened.
yeah,
I'm sure I
yeah,
had a friend that day. I'm sure we were at a picnic.
yeah. Yeah, it really gets crazy though, when you
Hmm.
start thinking about it. But I think it's like I always say, I say a lot, all the world's a stage.
Well, I've
Everything's
said
hidden
that
in
for
plain
years.
sight. Yeah, things are hidden in plain sight. And I think maybe one of the reasons why the internet's a great gift in many ways. It's a great gift. It just gives you so much information. It just sort of connects people. And then I often wonder, because it's grown to the point where people have inputted so much information into it that people are starting to question things and go, hey, wait a minute. What is this? Like, people are learning things. And yes,
Can't have that.
misinformation. Well, there's misinformation. You have to, reference, cross reference, and keep doing it until everything starts to lump up and say, this is all there is. You may not necessarily get that online. I still like getting a lot of research from books, right? But with that being said, now, are there people out there kind of going, okay, we created a monster. As we're trying to remove things keep popping up. So then you have these certain groups saying, I think maybe we need to limit use. So I'm just being careful in my wording.
Oh yeah.
Limit use of said amazing,
Tool.
And and this being a thing, are people in power realizing like, okay, wait a minute, we're on the verge of doing this again. And now we're going to have people putting two and two together.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah. Can't have the common folk knowing how to read.
No, we don't want that. Michael says, recent Opart buzz, 22,000-year-old stone tools found on Parsons Island pushes human arrival in America way back. Erosion threatens the site. Crazy if true. Pre-Clovis Atlantic crossing. Yeah. Well, I'm sure that's one of many, many, many things that are starting to surface. If we don't question everything, we get caught in the matrix. Yes. And that, again, that's a whole other show. I've done that a couple of times, but there's just so much that's still coming out. Pyramids. Yes, done a show on that too, worldwide.
There's stone footprints that have just surfaced up in the America, out in the flatlands, badlands. I don't know if it's Death Valley or not. And the woman that discovered them, she's just like, well, these date back 33,000 years. 33,000 years. Human beings were walking across the flats when they were mud. And she's just getting hammered by academia right now. No, you've got the dating wrong. You got dating wrong. I don't know. I've seen footprints of a human being walking beside a dinosaur footprint. That disappeared real quick. Really quick. What was that about?
Yeah. I think we need to explore, and Mark Riley and I are going to do this next month, but we could do it in greater detail. We need to look at civilizations like Lemuria, Atlantis, as not necessarily being in one place. Maybe, the Atlantis that we're all familiar with in the books, maybe it was just one region, and they just spread out, because you have to look at the technology. And what brings us to mind is Phil mentioning the pyramids. People don't realize. They always thought, it was Egypt or in South America. They are all over the world. And I mean, China has so many pyramids and they just refuse to talk about it. Yeah. So, I think with that being said, we need to explore that technology and the similarities, because some of these pyramids are identical. You look, they have one in Russia, which in an area that they believe was literally the cradle of civilization. So now you guys to start questioning, like, what the heck? How old is this thing? And they're saying it predates the pyramids of Egypt, which many of them do. We just fixated on one area.
I think even with the Egyptian pyramids and all the things that were around there, they could have just wandered in and inherited what was already there and then built upon it.
Well, the Sphinx is older than the pyramids.
100% it is.
Right.
And the Sphinx, apparently there was two of them, one on each side.
They're speculating that,
and
yeah.
They're speculating.
Now, there's a whole complex underneath there now. So, right?
The Sphinx didn't even have the pharaoh's head. It had the head of a jackal, not a lion.
Well, they figure it might have been like Anubis, yeah.
That's right. And it was chipped off and made the pharaoh's face on it, right? So
well,
that's when you take over something else.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, that's the idea for sure.
Yeah.
Then we're getting into Göbekli Tepe. There's one they found that's even older than that now. It's another Tepe, but I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much, and so much of this goes underground as
Connected
well.
underground.
There's a reason I know with Göbekli that at one point they put a bunch of trees on top of it, right? Because we have, the WEF, who, Davos, where they give a lot of all kinds of money for projects like this. So it wasn't uncommon. But what is common, as they say, they come out and invest like something like $9 million and say, well, we want to preserve the site for future archaeology. Okay, but wait, you're destroying the site by planting trees over it. From what I understand, they've since been removed.
Mhm.
I thought I read that. But the archaeologists in charge is still saying, no, they're just giving little snippets. Like they really do not want to excavate it, because if they're going to the trouble of trying to make sure it doesn't get excavated, you only have to imagine what's the information that's there underground. Mwah, Dr.
100%.
Yana, hello. You have to just imagine, and this is one of many sites. Many sites. You don't think they've known that the pyramids had things underground? Back in the 70s, Dr. Zai Hawass made a comment during some press release that, oh yeah, there's something underground. We're going to explore this sometime, and one day, and this and that. So essentially, you're saying you're aware that there's something there, maybe not to the degree, but the fact remains is it was there. Oldest dated finds in the US, White Sands, New Mexico footprints just reconfirmed at 21 to 23,000 years in the 2025 studies. Yes, humans were here during the Ice Age peak, way before Clovis. Mind-blowing rewrite of ancient USA.
That's
Yes.
right. Exactly.
Yes,
But
exactly.
you have to be open-minded with this stuff. You can't just say, well, the book I have in grade 3 says no.
Well, especially when you're thinking the type of conditioned education that was there. You know what I mean?
Well, of
So,
course.
right. Does it exist? I believe it did exist. I believe there's so many aspects of it that still do exist. So wine is making me curious. This is good. Curious is good. So is wine. So this is a good thing.
Here's one for you
All
about
right.
Atlantis existing. In that same book, right, from India, right? They talk about an island that's out in the ocean, right? But it's when the ships came through our atmosphere, they shot at that island and it came up out of the water. The whole city came up out of the water and went to do battle with that craft that was coming in, but they lost. Could that have been your Atlantis?
The technology matches
It
different
does.
technology all over the world. But yes, could it have been,
Hmm.
you hear Dr. Michael Salas talk a lot about space arcs, underwater, underground, makes you kind of wonder if they were all, things that are always there that we would have looked at as small islands or, especially under the water, because there is a really big belief that there are extraterrestrials that do live under the water, like that there are. If
Makes
you go
sense.
deep enough, there have been people who have been, who are experiencers, who have been taken and say that they've been taken down in places like this.
Many, not just one or two.
I know. So, yeah, question everything. I think we need to just start. I say, just go grab a really old book somewhere. Go to a flea market. Hey, Kevin, go to a flea market and try to find an old history book somewhere and see. Just see. You might be amazed at some of the information you'll find, because not everything was suppressed back then. There's no
No.
such thing as coincidences. History always repeats itself. Yes.
That's because we
Yes.
don't learn nothing. That's why. But
Well,
look at that thing I was
we just may
showing
not
you.
have any choice,
No, true. But look at that thing I showed you about 3 weeks ago. It was just a little thing, but it came up and they were talking about tombs that they'd opened up in Egypt and a couple of other places in that same general area where things have been buried under the sands, and they're opening these things up. They had lights on, no wires, no nothing, been
Mm.
burning for 4,000 years and still lit.
Yeah, see?
You know, like I watched
Mhm.
shows when I was a little kid about how they got light down into these tombs. And they did all kinds, they had refracting mirrors, all kinds of stuff. They still couldn't get light down there. And yet all these beautiful paintings were on the walls and there was no soot anywhere from torches or oil lamps. But all those light bulbs and that idea of free energy, taking it from the ether, gone. Immediately, as soon as it's
Mm.
discovered, gone.
Yeah, see? Right there.
Mm,
Right there. There's technology that it supersedes us. We're not the smartest people here,
by
you
far.
know. I mean, if you can think of like right now, again, we've done, shows over the course of the last many weeks or months, and people who have been on who state, the technology of the powers that be far exceeds what we are led to believe that it does. Like the section, this little piece of AI that we're all just starting to become familiar with, apparently much more advanced, much more advanced to select people. So I don't know.
It's like everything else. Like what you're privy to is like the smallest grain of sand. It's like our military. Our military is only 10 years ahead of what you see in the sky.
No.
Nonsense. Nonsense, I say.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? Do the people need to know everything? No. As much as we like to think that we do, I don't think that we have to know everything. It would just be nice to have transparency.
Yeah.
But in the name of national security, no, you're not going to be made privy to that sort of thing. Only select people are, and it's like, okay. It would just be nice just to see everything kind of go nice and smooth for the rest of us poor people. For the rest of us
Exactly.
poor folk who just, who you just have to just like, most of the populace,
Yeah.
you just
My dad was in World War II, and the stuff he told me that went on the ship, and I would ask him questions, and he'd look at me and smile, and he goes, son, at times like that, ignorance is bliss.
yeah, yeah.
He said, if I knew it was going on, I would never even get on the board. I wouldn't get on the
Yeah.
ship. I'd run away.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. But I find as we progress through the resets, which has happened for thousands of years, tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, it will continue to happen until literally this place ceases to exist, whether we're in a simulation or whether we're dropped here from another planet. Just it doesn't make a difference. But when it comes to end times or apocalyptic times, throughout the ages, mankind has always been really obsessed with end times, like the end of the world, how it will come to pass.
mhm.
Seers and prophets from ancient lore have been sharing their visions for thousands of years, and people in general continue to feed their curiosities well into modern times. So, what is it that makes us want to connect with this? Like, why are we so obsessed with it?
But
Our
it's the same reason why
mortality.
but that's what it is. We're all obsessed with death.
Mm,
You look at your mom and she looks great, everything's great, and she's 89 years old
mm.
and dies, and you go, where'd my mom go? And then you have seances to try to talk to said dead mom, and because we need to
Yeah.
know that
Yeah.
life
Yeah.
goes on, like we're not just worm food and things like that. So there's this desire to know. So like it's just like a kid in the back seat. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? You know what I mean? It's just like we're going on this road towards our eventual demise, and we want to know, like, okay, do I have 30 years or 30 minutes? Like, I want to know, right? When's it coming? That's all it is. It's just human curiosity.
Yeah, it's a tough one because, I mean, curiosity, it's like eventually we're all going to get there. That's for sure. You
Yeah,
know,
it's about the journey, not the destination in this place. And it's try to look at it
the
like this.
journey.
It's
Yeah.
picture a play,
Mm.
a really elaborate play. And a play it's in town for 12 weeks. We're that, right? We're coming down to the last show of of this run. and then the writers will put another play together, and it'll take 2 or 3 years to write it, and then it'll hit the stage, but it won't be like the last one. And people will be like, "Oh, I hate this. This is terrible. I like the last one better. It ended so badly."
Yeah.
That's what it is. It is a stage.
Yeah.
A flat stage.
You're not wrong. Yeah. But there are, obviously there are people even at higher up who have some kind of concern. So much so. I mean, is it a concern or is it something where you're just trying to mold the narrative? But have you ever heard of the doomsday clock?
Oh yeah. It's been at a minute to midnight for, I don't know, since like the 70s. It was seconds to midnight in the Cold War. Seconds.
Yeah, see?
We're doing okay right now. I think we're at 58. It's 11:58 and some seconds, right? So we're all right. We're good.
Yeah. I know that I think back in, I think it said since 2010 the clock had moved forward maybe 4 minutes. And it changed by 6 minutes and 20 seconds. It was the first time since like something like 1947, but it was 100 seconds before midnight. And that was going back in January of 2021. So here we are. The doomsday clock, right? So, but I mean, going back into all of the ancient cultures, all of them, had, going back to the Assyrians, Zoroasters, you're going back to Ragnarok, all of these places and people and different mythologies, would talk about their version of a revelation, right? Nostradamus. I mean, here's the thing, when you're looking at predictions and prophecies, right? Sometimes orange juice has the opposite effect, but yes, I do have a little bit of a hoarse throat.
That's because she was yelling at me all afternoon.
Oh, you're funny. But you know what? I think that let's factor in that we are not even working on the same clock as some of the, or calendar, sorry, as some of these people back who were operating like the real, what is it, the 13 months? And here we are 12 months.
The astrological calendar.
It was different now. So they're making these predictions and people are just waiting for them to happen going, well, they're way off. Yeah, but we're on a different calendar. And when you factor in time itself doesn't even really technically exist, I don't know.
Nope. No, it doesn't. These are the things. I mean, I find it interesting. It was the War of 1812. And then everybody was panicked in 2012, right? 1912, 1912, the Titanic thing. There's all these, I always go like, prophecy is amazing when you can sit years after the prophecy is made and go, yeah, see, that lines up.
Mm-hmm.
But if I made a prediction right now, we're not going to know for 25 years or 30 years. And then they could say, oh, Mallows was way off, right? But it's very difficult when the prediction is made compared to 150 years after the prediction was made, because you can make the storyline match. When Nostradamus talked about, in the new lands, 2 giant brothers, will fall, right? They will fight and fall, right? It's easy to put that to the Twin Towers. 2 giant brothers will fall, and he picked the date near enough anyway, from way back when. But again, it's easy to correlate something when you have all the pieces of the Lego and a picture. You go, oh, yeah, I can make that, right? But if you don't have anything, then it's a little bit harder to join the dots. That's all I'm saying.
I think somebody debunked that.
Oh, did they? Good, excellent. I like it.
Yeah, I thought they said it was made up, but who knows? There's a whole lot of things. I mean,
I remember my sister brought it to my attention. She was all about it. So it's my older sister. I listen.
Yeah. I like to go back just to some of the people who we are really familiar with. Baba Vanga is probably one of the more recent, she died, I think what was it? The 80s. Let me go back to her. I have her page up here.
Is that
Uh,
the girl that got hit by lightning and was blind? Is that the one I'm
yes,
thinking of? Okay.
yes, and she was born in 1911 and died in 1996. But
Hmm.
it was interesting because the president of the Ukraine at that time, or because she was born in Yugoslavia, would literally sit with her and ask her for her visions.
Hmm.
So she had said basically in 2016 that people of the Muslim people would take over Europe. And literally, she says it would cease to exist as we know it. So off the timeline, but again, is this a calendar thing?
Hmm.
Right. So in 2023, she had basically said that the orbit of the Earth will change. Nobody really knew what it meant at that point. Europe will still be a little settled. That was 2025. And the different, I mean, things from 2026, major conflict in Europe, severe economic collapse, surge in earthquakes, volcanoes. Um, you know, um, that seems to be a thing. But right now, people are forecasting. A lot of people feel that there's going to be cataclysmic events taking place, and she predicted that as well. Polar ice melts, and if that happens, your sea levels are just going to go. I mean, you need to sort of do the math on that as to how things would happen, right? Like,
Well,
so,
they can't let the polar ice caps melt because then we'll see the hole that runs through the middle of the earth.
yeah,
We can't have that.
very, very
Got to keep the
possibly.
poor people away.
Yeah, very possibly. But I mean, you start looking at things like that, and she's just one person. If you're getting into like, let's say Edgar Casey, known as the sleeping
Mm.
prophet, he had predicted a lot of unrest that we've pretty much seen what's going on right now, even in the Middle East. He predicted the so-called Battle of Armageddon. He came up with this like 1999 sort of thing, right? But well, he said it would begin in 1999. So I don't know. Did it? I don't know. Because he talks about all of these only enlightened souls will be permitted to reincarnate. I don't know. With the whole reincarnation thing, a lot of people now are saying, you know what? It's a loop. Get out of there. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
pass.
Right? Yeah, you just don't know what to believe anymore. But he also made a lot of predictions with respects to events about, again, the Earth's poles changing, and the whole New York eastern coastline was going to disappear, as well as the west coast off, the state of California. So there's some like dire stuff in there, and I don't know. Like, you start asking yourself about some of this. It's like, come on,
Oh,
you
we're in
know.
trouble where we are because this used to be a giant glacial lake.
Oh,
So
I
if that
know.
happens, get your scuba gear on because that's going to be tough.
I know. And then we have Padre Peo, who came out with things, and there was a lot of discussion about end times, with him. So, are we in end times? I don't know. Here's what he had to say: the world is walking in ruins. Men have abandoned the right path to venture on roads that end in the desert of violence. If they do not drink from the source of humility, charity, and love, it will be a catastrophe. Terrible things will come. I can no longer intercede for men. Divine pity is about to end. Man had been created to love life and ended up destroying life. And then he goes on to say, when the world was entrusted to man, it was a garden. Man has turned it into an atmosphere full of poisons. Nothing now serves to
Mm.
purify the house of man. A deep work is necessary, which can come only from heaven. Of course, this is St. Padre Pio.
Hmm.
Prepare to live 3 days in total darkness. These 3 days are very close, and these days will remain as dead without eating or drinking. The light will return, but many will be the men who will not see the light anymore. Many people will escape scared. They will run without goal. They will say that there is salvation to the east. They will run to the east. They will fall off a cliff. They will say that there's salvation to the west. They will run and they will hit, like fall into a furnace. The earth will tremble in panic, and it will be great. The earth is sick. The earthquake will be like a snake. They will feel it crawling everywhere. Many stones will fall. Many men will perish. So, I mean, he goes on and on. Like he's got at least 12 different things in here. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but it's just like it's all they all sort of follow one another. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
look at it like when you
Woohoo,
have
Folgers. Yeah.
like
Thanks,
I said, a
Michael.
deep cleanse. When you have a deep cleanse, even at the house, like if you have a deep clean, what do?
Hmm.
You scrub everything down, you throw out everything you don't want. You know what I mean? You purge everything. So if we're heading for like a deep cleanse, it's like, well, boy, get the
Yeah.
fleas off the dog's back. Here we go.
Yeah, it's true.
Mother Nature's going to hand us our butt. I'm telling you, I've been saying that since I was 10.
Yeah, I completely. I mean, we've been pushing our luck. End times radar pinging hard. 2026 solar maximum chaos. Rumored global reset. Whispers and ancient calendars syncing with modern prophecies. Revelation 6 vibes feel real. Yes.
Yep.
Yes, exactly. So I mean, we're getting into some, some really hardcore things for sure. And also, I mean, we have to remember things, again, the sign of the times of the people who were writing these things. Shortly before his election in 1860, Abraham Lincoln reportedly glanced at a mirror and saw two reflections of his face, one pale, one ghost-like, the other normal. And he told his wife Mary she believed it was an omen. So one face meant life, the other suggested death. Well, of course, he would win, a second term. And of course, we know how that ended up. But, when you're looking at things, because he saw his death, right? He had vision of being in a coffin in the Capitol building. And this is definitely people, this wasn't out of the norm to even, even now, people who are making predictions, right? So, I mean, this is not something that's out of the norm. But then we start getting into, I mean, even, I mean, I'm just trying to think of what the heck her name was. Why am I drawing a blank?
Because they're taking your memories from you.
Yeah, probably. Darn it. Bastards. Anyway. Yeah, I think, if we can, what I was going to say is how many things have been mistranslated? Like when we
Many.
think of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, right? We think, oh my God, yeah, it's very biblical. But again, if you caught the show yesterday with Mark Ollie, a lot of it is associated with the four fixed stars of the zodiac.
Mhm.
So is it, when certain stars or star systems or constellations, things line up just right, we know amazing things happen. But each of them would bring forth, destruction, new beginnings. And of course, the final one brings apocalypse and judgment day. But a lot of ancient cultures were stargazers.
Yeah.
So
The
I
other
don't
thing
know.
I used to think of too is, with again going back into history and times that these things were written in. When
Mhm.
you picture a person walking or running, there's a gait that they have, right?
Mhm.
If you picture a horseman, they move at a hell of a pace.
Yeah.
They really move. So I always thought, well, the four horsemen of the apocalypse are death, pestilence, war, illness. They're going to come at a breakneck speed,
Mhm.
right? It's going to sweep across. It's not just going to like show up and go, oh hey, I'm pestilence. I'm going to hang out for a couple of weeks. You don't mind, do
Yeah.
you?
Mhm.
It'll be
Yeah.
like whoosh. It will
Yeah.
happen that fast. That's what they're trying to convey without having knowledge of how to convey the speed of which it's going to go. I mean, you just look at it now with illnesses. You can have an illness here, hop on a plane and take it halfway around the world, right?
Mhm.
Just look at when the Spaniards came over. They brought all kinds of stuff like smallpox, wiped out half the nation because they never ran into it. We
Mhm.
bring ships come across into our Great Lakes from the oceans, and they bring all these little barnacles and zebra mussels that are not native to our waters. Now they're
Mhm.
here in droves, and we can't get rid of them.
Mhm.
So it doesn't take long for something to sweep across our tiny blue marble and wipe things out.
Mhm. Yeah. The year of the horse. Yeah. Ironically. Yeah. I think throughout times, let's face it. How many times have you going up? The world's going to end on
Oh,
this day. The world's going to end on this day. I mean, the world was said to end so many times throughout the centuries. But, I mean, this goes back to, I mean, Jesus, literally,
mhm. Yeah.
there have been popes, there have been people who have been predicting this. Sir Isaac Newton also made an end times prediction claiming doomsday would fall in the year 2060. He never said an exact date, but again, we're kind of, the calendar thing, right?
Yeah.
There's theorists who believe that CERN and the large Hadron Collider would bring about an apocalypse and end days. End of times has been predicted many times. The Oceans predicted second coming of Christ a few decades after his death. Well, we know that wasn't a thing, or was he? This has been lingering around all this time. January the 1st, 1000, Pope Sylvester II, along with other religious figures, chose this apocalyptic date, and it came and went, of course, right? So, but I mean, one of the most recent was on May 21st, 2011, and it was a man named Harold Camping. He predicted that the ascension would take place from this date on the Day of Judgment would be October 21st. Well, of course, May ended, and of course, everything ended, and yet here we are. So, at which point do we stop putting so much emphasis in doomsday,
I think
our
collectively,
demise?
I think that's the problem. Is you have said many times, as people, as beings of light, on this physical journey, we're powerful, but our power is taken from us from the time we're born, and by the time we reach 8 years old, we believe we're useless. You know what I mean? And you're born bad. That's the way it is. I think collectively, if we just changed our energy focus to being more positive and being happy and smell the flowers, and really there's something to that. I think collectively we can actually shift it away from this stuff, right? I remember reading the American Science Journal from 1868, and they said this is our last publication because we've discovered everything there is to discover. There's nothing else left to find. 1868, that's it, we're done. There's nothing else. Yeah. And I was just like, whatever, right?
Wow.
So it's not just the end of days stuff, but people get the idea that this is all we are. There is nothing else. Nothing else we can do. My dad watched a movie from Jules Verne called The Shape of Things to Come. And he said, we went to the theater. We paid a penny or whatever it was to go to the theater. And he said, we came out laughing. Rockets to the moon and men breathing underwater and cars in every garage and electric heat. And he was just like, it's ridiculous, right? It can't never happen.
Yeah, here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are. So do we look to the stars? And where I'm going with this is there have been many people, contactees, who have had incredible experiences with extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, whatever the case may be. And there was one in specific, which happened December 26, 2001. A 61-year-old retired carpenter named Jerry Battles of Pallaskenry, Ireland. Now, and the fact that he was walking home from a pub, maybe should question it. But
that plays not into it. Don't. You can't read that into anything.
I know, but apparently somebody did. So there was an encounter with extraterrestrials. He claims he was told when the world would end and how. He saw a bright light, and within a flash, he was at the North Pole. He noted there were 40 other people in the craft with him, all in a subdued state, all standing together motionless. So Gary truly believes that humanity will be wiped off the face of the planet, much like the dinosaurs were. The messages, the quote was, 850 years from now, a giant asteroid, so we still got time, but if you're going by this guy, basically, as this giant asteroid is going to obliterate your planet. It will be the size of Munster and will approach your planet from the 35th quadrant. They went on to state, we are 4 million light years more advanced than you are and have been observing you for all or all of you for a millennia. They continued. In all that time, your planet has excelled in two things: global warfare and lying to your own species. You must use the force and be one with it and harness it. So, what did a certain somebody
Hmm.
know about this? The Star Wars. Anyway, they continued. He was also told not to trust powers that be and the financial institutions, as they have been lying to people since the beginning of conception. So essentially, day one. Now, some contactees have made reference to the fact that ET feels concerned about how we treat our sick and elderly, how we treat the planet, and they feel that we should treat one another better. They are here to try and connect with those who are willing in order to assist with our enlightenment, our evolution, which was help us to evolve into a 4 or 5D state of being or even more. So of course, they want us to reach our full potential. Could it be that they're sitting here just trying to say, remember who the hell you are?
Hmm.
And then you get to leave the simulation. I don't know. I
He
don't
likes
know.
that.
But it was profound. I mean, there are so many stories that come from contactees, or abductees, experiencers, who have been given dire warnings like this, or who have come back feeling completely enlightened, thinking, my God, there is so much more. And we really can't play nice over here.
No, no, we can't. I told you that vision I had. She told it plain and simple.
Mhm.
I said, we're not doing well, are we? And she was like,
No,
not at
no,
all. Not at all. But
no.
my question is, if we're in a simulation, is ET part of the simulation?
Ah,
Or run the ET program.
yeah.
Send it in. We haven't had that for a while.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who believe that we are. There's a lot of people who believe that it may not always have been that way, but that somewhere along the line shifts have happened. Did we sort of, blow ourselves to smithereens? Did we, were we on another planet? You look at people, a lot of abductees or contactees have these apocalyptic dreams where they are, the red sands and Mars, right? But
Yeah.
thing is, these are all people who don't know one another and who come back with the same. It's like we keep having these dreams. Are they recollection? Are they, are we just living in a different reality? Do we live in, different realities at the same time simultaneously? That's the problem is there's so many theories and many people just can't remember who they
No.
are, where they come from. Because it's kind of cruel that we're put here without any recollections and say, evolve. You didn't get it right the last time. Okay, well, what did I do wrong the last time so I can correct it? No.
Oh, sorry, we can't tell you that. Well, where's my textbook? Oh, we didn't give you one. Oh, there's a
Yeah.
test at the end, and if you don't pass it, you're going to do it again. Well, that's
Yes.
just crap. 2 words. Mall world. That's something that just showed
Oh,
up in my world.
okay. That's coming. That's coming. Freaking
Talk
Mall
about
World.
visions and
Oh
stuff.
my
Oh my
God.
God.
We are going to do a thing on Mall World. My daughter said, "Have you heard of Mall World?" I'm like, "No, what is that?" Because
we're
it's a
old.
whole like tulpa thing, right? Like it was designed in the same chat room as Slender Man, which is a tulpa. It's a thought form.
Yeah.
And there's this thing now. Everybody's having these bloody dreams. I've been in the freaking mall world where there's nothing there, and you guys got to
Yeah.
Google that Mall World. It is
Mall world.
insanity. So we're definitely going to do this. It's
Yeah.
insane, but it goes to
Yeah.
show you what a collective can do. Amy Eskridge warned of future humans, ultra-terrestrials from 47,000 years ahead, surviving an apocalyptic pole shift cataclysm, elites in bunkers, survivors on the surface, before her mysterious 2022 death. Mysterious. Yeah,
It's like
right?
that psychologist or psychiatrist that was investigating those kids who had the ET experience in, I believe, South Africa. And at first he just didn't believe them, and he says it was too compelling. And the
Right.
deeper he dug, he's like, this is real. This is really happening. Mysteriously got run over and died.
Mm-hmm.
Just another accident.
Mm-hmm. See what I mean? Like,
No, I don't like
there's
it.
there's a lot of weird stuff, but perfect way to like end off like some like funness. Those who tuned into yesterday's show would have heard me go over these, and I'm going to do it again because we have so many more people in the various chat rooms. You guys are like in one chat room being, outer realm. But we have a lot of people on X right now and Rumble and such. So don't be shy. We can see, we can see you if you guys want to comment or ask questions. So Wayne and I often find some of these, and it's just incredible. The one story I'm going to say, and then you can tell the story about the little girl. I'll start with this one here. An
Oh yeah,
eight
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, an 8-year-old just explained the end of the universe better than most scientists, and people think he's a reincarnated astrophysicist. So this little boy sat on the couch, casually broke down all 4 major theories for how the universe will end. Big freeze, big crunch, big rip, big bounce. That's pretty much, how he said it, using correct terminology. Hawking radiation, cosmic expansion, and even the plural of nebula, which is nebulae. His mom was stunned, and then the comments get even crazier. So people basically said, I'm convinced your kid is a reincarnated astrophysicist. And he goes, I'm an astronomy student, and this kid is years ahead. But the wildest part was when mom asked him, where did you learn this? He goes, I don't know. No books, no classes, no YouTube rabbit hole, no cosmic level knowledge flowing out of an 8-year-old. It's just the people are basically saying like that he has a walk-in soul or he's a prodigy of some sort of thing because it's just the way it was all put. There's just absolutely no way he can do it. So you tell your story, then I'll talk
Well,
about baby
apparently I have a
Nostradamus.
walk-in soul too, but he's a gimp. I don't know. I don't
Wow.
have anything like that. I don't have anything like that. It was interesting. I won't do it justice because it was fantastic. Same idea. A girl sitting in the backseat of a car and just having a chat with her mother on the way back from preschool, whatever it was, shopping center.
Yeah.
And she said something along the lines of, Mom, this isn't the real Earth. The real Earth is gone. Like they moved us from the real Earth to this Earth, and it's different than the real Earth. It looks the same. And everything's kind of the same, but it's not the real one. The real one's gone. This is like it's not a simulation, but like a copy. Kid's like 4 or 5.
It's like what? Yeah. Out of the mouths of babes.
Oh man.
All right, next one. Small child in a car seat. They basically call this little gaffer baby Nostradamus just predicted flood 2.0, an 800-meter tsunami, and said Earth isn't real. Same idea. So basically, he says delivers this like full-on end times prophecy with no hesitation. He said there's going to be a tsunami, or there's going to be a tsunami. 800 meters in the air, they call it flood 2.0. There's going to be sharks because kid, right? There's going to be great white sharks when the flood comes. So the fact that he mentions that, what are you going to do? Right? Anyway,
Sharknado.
And then he suddenly says, I'm horrified, but he isn't done. He shifts straight into the simulation theory. I just don't know anybody living here because I just don't know that everybody living here thinks that the Earth is real. It's not actually real because scientists found out there's a glitch. Mom says, so what is our life? He says, I don't know. Maybe it's like a computer, a simulation. He goes, I feel like it's a scientist testing little tiny people. They really thought reality was real down here, but little people like us aren't actually real. So it's just like, what?
So we're an avatar that bleeds when you hit your hand with a hammer.
I don't know.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
Again, out of the mouths of babes, right? Like these little prodigies just come out and say things. So there's also, getting into, different oral histories. So the I'm going to butcher this, Anishinaabe Nation prophecy. The seventh prophet that came to our people so long ago was said to be different from other prophets. This prophet was described as young and had a strange light in his eyes. So, in the time of the seventh fire, new people will emerge. They will retrace their steps to find what was left by the trail. That's interesting. Their steps will take them to the elders, who they will ask to guide them on their journey. But many of the elders will have fallen asleep. They will awaken to this new time with nothing to offer. Some of the elders will be silent because no one will ask anything of them. The new people will have to be careful in how they approach the elders. If the new people will remain strong in their quest to extract knowledge from the elders, the water drum of the Midwinwin Lodge will again beat from the ancestor spirit. There will be a rebirth for all of the First Nations and a rekindling of old flames that will start to rage in people's hearts. The sacred fire of the ancestors will again be lit. It is time that the light-skinned race would or will be given a choice between two roads. One road will be green and lush and very inviting. The other road will be black and charred, and walking it will cut their feet. In the prophecy, the people decide to take neither road, but instead to turn back and remember to reclaim the wisdom of those who came before them. If they choose the right road, then the seventh fire will light to the eighth and final fire, an eternal fire of peace, love, brotherhood, and sisterhood. If the light-skinned race makes the wrong choice of the roads, the destruction which they brought with them in coming to this country will come back at them and cause much suffering and death to all of the earth's life.
Run away! Run away!
It's frightening. It really is, you know. And then, of course, the most popular, I can read a little bit of a longer version here of the Hopis, Ancient Knowledge and Prophecies, are warning through many signs, and we have entered dangerous period in our lives. Mankind must return to a peaceful way to halt the destruction of Mother Earth, or we are going to destroy ourselves. All the stages of Hopi prophecies have come to pass, except for the last, the purification. The intensity of this purification will depend on how humanity collaborates with creation. We are entering the last days. The Hopi spiritual leaders have spoken their urgent warnings and message to the United Nations and around the world, yet there has been no response. We must correct and change our ways, go back to the spiritual ways, and take care of Mother Earth. If we do not, we're going to face terrible destruction by nature, bringing purification or destruction. The more we turn away from instructions of the Great Spirit, the more signs we see, the form of earthquakes, floods, droughts, and fires, tornadoes, along with wars and corruption. Because the Hopis' deep spiritual qualities and sensitivity to nature, they know that the essential electromagnetic balance of life forces is maintained not only through nature's gifts of minerals, water, sunlight, and the atmospheric currents and charged ion fields, but also their sacred rituals and ceremonial dances. This very presence, or their very presence, in Hopi land, their demeanor, their reverence for life, is a protection for the people of the earth, for all who are bound together in a global grid pattern of energy. So, I mean, you have to remember the First Nations people have known for millennia about star people, and who have visited here many, many times, right? We talk about, like the ant people. We talk about, even the Amazons talked about, different gray aliens or like giant ants that lived underground, much like the Hopi. Like, this is something that is not new
I think
at
the
all.
ant people they weren't actually insects. They just were
That's right.
people that lived underground. That's
Big
why they made
eyes.
the reference
Yeah,
of
big eyes.
They came up from the ground like ants did.
Yeah.
And they saved a lot of people when there was cataclysms. They took them back into their world. And I wonder if that world is the inner earth world,
Yeah.
We're not built to be on the surface. Look around, every animal compared to us.
Yeah.
We don't fit in here.
No, it's true, because we don't know how to play nice. The more I deep dive stuff, the more I deep dive stuff, the more I realize just how much I don't know. It seemed like every turn down the rabbit hole reveals another chasm, yes. And
Uh,
then goes on to say the story is about giving the choice to abandon technology and once again embrace naturalistic ways, yes, with concentrations and connections to teach each other and all and all spirit, yes. Coordinated chaos, yes.
mhm.
uh, encounters seem to echo this. Contact these often speak more extreme similarities in the message that non-human intelligence states, but we do not know the truth of our abilities. That's the problem. We don't.
Nope,
We
can't
don't.
remember anything.
If you go back, into the times, even the indigenous people living far away from like even this technology, many of them, obviously, I'm not saying they're all out, and there are some who choose to not be right in metropolis, and
Mhm.
I don't think they're affected by all of the crazy frequencies and
Nope.
a lot of that technology. They keep things very simplistic, while others don't, obviously. I mean, they're not living in the dark ages, but those who really do follow the ancient ways, and there are some, there are some people, you can read about them, not just in North America, but different parts of the world, where they still abide by the old ways. They respect the word of their elders. And I had, a Native Canadian friend of mine say, he goes, so many have abandoned the old teachings. And that's just where a lot of the ancient wisdom comes from.
Mm.
So it's just, it is a shame. It is a shame.
That's the allure of the magic box, right? That's
Mm,
what it is, right? Technology, the magic box, as I call it.
yeah.
You know,
Unfortunately, that's just the way it is.
it
And
is.
it's where we are. We're here.
Well, we're
You know.
here.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are here. I remember
Yeah.
being little, and I remember talking to my mom one day, and I was outside. I was probably 5, really young. And it was a nice night, and I asked her, I said, "Where's the other moon?" You talk about young kids and speaking out of turn kind of thing. And she said, "Well, there's only one moon." I'm like, "No, there should be two. Where
Mm,
did it go?" And then she said,
yeah.
you know, never thought, and I never thought about it again until literally like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, maybe. And I
Yeah.
decided to look it up just to see what planet in our solar system has two moons, and it is Mars.
Mhm.
So that's what I said. Is that where I
Yeah.
come from? Is that why I have all these dreams about that planet? I don't know.
Well, I mean, heck, it's possible. I think that there are some that are really embedded in
Mm,
there, you
yeah.
know.
Oh, they are.
Um, oh, for sure, for sure. But you know what? Even Dolores Cannon had basically made a prediction, of a geophysical event. And there were two maps that were done. She published a map in her book Conversations with Nostradamus,
Mm,
and not too far off from this other map that was created by a gentleman named Gordon Michael. I'm going to see if I can put this up. Hold on. Hold on. Let me see. I just want to try to finish off and share this. Okay, 1 second. Okay. Yeah, it's not going to let me do much of anything here. So let me see if I can share this with you guys.
A for effort.
It's on my file. Yeah, I'm just trying to get a bigger picture, but I may not be able to do it. So, okay. So here we are. This is the picture that I'm making reference to. And if you look at it, it's basically showing, like this. I mean, I'm guessing this is Africa, but it also has the USA and
Yeah,
Canada.
yeah.
Okay. So after the pole shift created by Gordon Michael Scallion, this one right here, it shows the freaking pyramids underwater partway again, right?
Yep.
Because again, and then here, of course, we have Canada and we have North America. So
Mm,
I think what's left, literally, are these brown sections here, these black sections.
yeah.
That's frightening when you think about it. But you see, I mean, just look at the map up here. Look where the water is. Look at the land that's left. And then ask yourself maybe why there would be some areas of the world right now, that have been on fire, not anymore. That may be deliberate or may not have been. And why they're sort of being not rebuilt on, at least not the way they were.
Mhm.
I'm going to leave that right there. So just, things to think about. Yeah, right. There we go. There we go. July 2025 in East Carbon, Utah, bull found mutilated, organs removed. Later tests showed unusual soil chemistry and dead flies. Look, that's interesting. Cattle, new relation crop circles. Yeah, deep dive, a favorite of mine. So yeah, it's okay. I think I was able to keep up. Sadly enough. So
Yeah,
you see,
good.
we're definitely getting into a time where there's going to be a lot of things going on. And I have so many more notes, guys. My God, we could go on and on and on and on. There's so much to talk about. But the idea here, I think, is that we do need to find a way to reconnect with the planet, with the collective consciousness, and do what we can. We may not have a lot of control over what's going on out there, but we do have a degree of control over putting out positive thoughts into the collective and trying to help our fellow man, help one another, help ourselves just get to a better state of being. If we live in a constant state of fear or anxiety or depression, that's just creating this whole whoosh thing. But it's also, it's taking away, motivation, the zest for life. And you know what? There's a lot of things out there that are still really worth living for. So I don't know.
It's a positive outlook coming from like a recovering negative thinker.
Mhm.
It is a way to do it. I always say I want to just not have to mechanically put it into place. I just want to have it run like my breathing runs. I don't have to say, okay, wait, it's morning, got to remember to breathe now. It's just I want to be able to just get up and exude this positivity everywhere I go, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I have success most days, but it's just some days are just like,
Yeah, it's really important, I think, because we can't control situations. The only thing that we have power over is how we deal with it, how we react to it, how we receive it, what we do about it within our space, right? We can't control other people. You can't control situations going on out there, for the most part. I mean, the voice of the people as a collective is a strong voice.
Is big.
Yeah. Lots of chatter about abilities being given to us as in the whole world. Imagine if we all had telepathy and could have empathy for each other, not like the 100 monkeys rule. Yeah, 100%. 100%. But it starts with us, and you try to put the fear away. Love ourselves first and love one another, like the song goes. Yeah. Everything is connected. Yeah, 100%. Exactly right. Exactly right. So, I think New Year, moving forward, trying just to look at things and showing gratitude. I read this article today that I found very interesting, and it's saying luck is not just a thing. Okay. Luck, you actually train yourself with luck. And I'm thinking, how do you train yourself with luck? But it can be done. It can be done. And it can be done essentially just by saying things like, and this, by the way, there, I think Oxford physicists, I think I remember reading, ran an experiment on this with electrons and found particles behave differently depending on whether the observer, expected a certain result or not. But anyway, they basically say that if you're feeling very confident, you'll get lucky. So your brain, brain filters this reality somehow, and it highlights opportunities that others might ignore. So research in Zurich found that people who believe in their luck are 3 times more likely to find luck, such as money or get jobs or close deals, not because of magic or anything like that, but because their brains are tuned in to spot signals that others might miss. Quantum experiments with random numbers showed a really strange pattern, and participants focused their intentions and nudge possibilities or probabilities beyond statistical norms.
Yeah.
So it's not mysticism. It's the power of focus and aligning quantum possibilities in your favor.
I went to work with a woman like that, like just the, a bit strange, but like the most positive, outgoing kind of person, always positive, like just, and
Mhm.
lucky beyond. Like this person had like horseshoes, like I'd
Mhm.
never seen horseshoes. Like they had like I'm not a sports fan, but the guys at the office were just like, hey, we're going to do a sports pool for
Yeah.
football. And this woman, they go, why do you want to play? And she's like, well, what's it about? And so they explain. She goes, what color are the uniforms? What color are the uniforms?
No.
And
Mm-mm.
they go, blah, 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 blah. Oh, I like that. I'll take the blue one. They all laugh. They're never going to win. They win. Take it all. Right? She wins. She goes to the casino with some friends. She doesn't bet. She doesn't do anything. Oh, I like the dinner. I'm going to go for the dinner. So they go there. All her friends take off, and she gets a glass of wine and goes and dumps $20 and gets four tokens of $5 each for the $5 slots. She wanders around, just drops them in one machine, two machines. Second machine, she wins $5,000.
Wow.
$5,000, but she doesn't play, right? Like it's like that person is amazing. I just love her stories. I just love her stories because it was always like that.
Yeah. But it happens. I mean, I know people like that, I mean, it's like a way of manifestation.
Yeah.
The study is fascinating. I'm familiar with it. It ties in with spooky action at a distance, quantum mechanics that are on the presence of new understandings of our real reality. Yeah. I mean, if you can, and because they believe, I mean, I've had guests on in the past who've talked about manifesting your reality and swear it is true. They have helped clients do it. Clients are like, yes. I mean, just in my father's side of the family, going back into the 70s, they had one guy win a lottery twice at almost like $500,000 at a time. I'm just like, what the hell? And it was like a guy is just lucky. And I'm thinking, no, there's got to be more to it, even back then. Right. So it's just if it has anything to do, if it's similar to being able to manifest your reality, I guess it's the same idea of affirmation
Mm.
and basically saying no, like looking at everything as being glasses half full, not half empty. I'm so grateful every day. Oh God, I was lucky. You make how many green lights? Like Wayne and I were talking about it. You make like 6 green lights and you only hit 1 red. It's like, instead of saying, God, that was pretty good, it's a matter of, God, am I ever lucky
Mm.
that this happened to me? I'm so fortunate. Like just things that are affirming.
Yep.
And
But how many
rewiring your brain a
times?
bit to look for it, right?
But how many times do we do exactly that? That we make 6 lights and get caught at the 7th, and we're like, oh, I didn't have a perfect run. We
It's true.
focus on the negative part,
Yeah.
and we power the negative part rather than saying, oh, I only got caught at 1. I made all these. It's amazing. I mean, just look at the house in Niagara, right? Like that was out of my wheelhouse a mile. But I
Yeah.
took pictures of it and I put them everywhere. And I just wrote my house. Not that I'm going to buy this house. It's just like, no, it's my house.
No.
Took 2 years, but it was
It ended up being your house. I know. I know. So you see, things happen. Things happen. So we'll leave it with that. And because it's a positive affirmation and just retraining ourselves to be more on the positive side of things, because you see it every single day. You just look around you, maybe in your community, maybe within your friends or family, looking online. I don't get online a whole lot onto social media unless I'm just sort of promoting. But every now and then I'll be able to sit with my latte and have a look and say, God, I notice things. Right. And you see it everywhere. And what negativity does. And not like there isn't reason to be negative. I'm not going to come out like kumbaya, everything is well in the world. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that the negativity, you can see it, how fast it grows as a collective, and the hardship, and well deserved on many levels. And then there are some, and I can only use myself as an example. When something happens, do we take it for granted, or do I just say, wow, yeah, that's cool, and say it instead of just rewording
Yeah.
those good things that come out and just trying to? It's a good experiment. I'm willing to give it a shot. We can all use a little bit of luck. So
My sister has an extreme gratitude journal. Extreme, like extreme.
It's not just a gratitude, an extreme gratitude.
Oh, it is, and
I
it's
love
not
it.
on the computer. She
Yeah.
hand writes it all out, and she
Mhm.
told me about this last spring, and
Mhm.
she says, in my extreme journal, I write the page number every day. I only write 1 or 2 lines. It's not like it's
Yeah.
huge.
Right.
Every time I do a journal, and she said it was April, I think, and she said I'm at my 100,000th entry
Your
of
sister's like
extreme
right on it.
gratitude. Oh
Yeah.
man, yeah.
Right. And that's being gratitude for your food, right? Showing gratitude for your food, showing gratitude for
Everything.
everything. So I think it's lovely. I do. I think it's lovely. It clearly works. Your sister does okay.
Oh, she does okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, I think we're pretty much coming to the end of the show. And you guys
That
in
was
chat
fast.
room,
Holy cow.
I know. You guys in chat room are always so, so awesome. And we're just so grateful and lucky to have you all sharing in our segment. So thank you. Tomorrow night, Giulio Consiglio is going to be joining us discussing his latest book, Here we go. Your Highest Vibration. Realize your full potential through chakra work and meditation. He first teaches you how to connect with each of your chakras separately and then guides you into working with them. And that's for starters. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of really amazing stuff out there. So can't wait to see what he's got to say about it. Well on the road and keeping with the whole positive vibe thing and working with your energy and everything else. Monday night, guys, I'm going to put this out here right now because I've just posted this. Two Real Cryptid Legends is going to be, yes, we're doing a show Monday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. Daryl Denton, Ron Moorhead, and myself. We're going to be talking about the differences among Bigfoot. Habitat, behavior, vocalization, appearances, so on and so forth, which is going to be a whole lot of fun. And Tuesday on Beyond the Outer Realm, Laura Lee Potvin and I getting into another segment of Celebrity Death Series. Paul Fall McCartney. It's going to be awesome. I know.
I'm looking forward to that one.
It's
That's
going to
gonna
be
be awesome.
good. You know it's going to be good.
Oh,
So,
I started reading
anyway,
up on that just for something to do, and I'm
just
just
a
like, wow, that's a deep hole.
right? Yeah.
Oh,
And that's the exact article we're going to be basing it on. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So everybody, wow. Thank you all for tuning in and trying to say goodbye to everybody. If I miss anybody, I do apologize. This thing, because we're on more than just one platform, we're on 8. And 7 of them all have chat rooms. So things are just coming up. So thank you all again for tuning in, and we shall see you tomorrow night. Thank
bye,
you.
everybody. Good night.
Good night.